Oh, brother!
Welcome back to the Basement Brothers podcast. We have already reached episode 6, a major milestone for myself, JD, and as always, my co-host, Mr. Mo Money.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Making big things happen, JD.
Hey, we're getting there bit by bit, segment by segment. How you doing over there, my friend?
I'm doing. It's the end of the week, and the weekend is always something I look forward to. So no complaints out of me. How about you?
You and me both, my man. Time to get a little relaxation in and get some more segments set up for the next episodes.
There you go. Let's do it.
Hot topics. First topic of the day is an interesting one for me as being a sports fan my entire life, growing up around, obviously the playing sports through high school and basically had the idea of, maybe one day I'll take this into college and maybe on, which didn't happen for me. I ended up getting into music and I kind of scrapped my sports playing. But as a child, always collected the cards, watched all the teams, watched all the players. It seemed more approachable then. And what's interesting, and basically the concept of this whole segment is really what's happened in terms of the pay. The pay has gotten crazy in sports. Basically, back in 1972, we had Joe Namath up here in the corner. He was making in the ballpark of $142,000 a year base salary in 1972. We've got one of my favorite players, Lawrence Taylor, good old LT. He was making, I remember this was a huge deal when he signed it. I believe it was a multi-year contract, but I believe his per year pay was $1 million per year. And then fast forward to today, Travis Kelce in the bottom right corner, obviously Super Bowl champion a few times now. Big news because he was tied in with Taylor Swift, and that's been all over the place, making $12 million base salary, not counting anything else, promotions, any kind of other paydays. What are your thoughts, Mo Money, on how things have changed from our days being kids watching these guys playing sports where they're probably getting enough to get by to today where they're literally hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars?
Well, when I think of it, 4 words come to mind. Show me the money. I'm thinking about Tom Cruise. It's amazing the money that a professional athlete can generate in this day and age. And I think back to greats who have come and gone. I think about boxers like Muhammad Ali and what he meant to the sport. And retrospectively, looking back on things, you say to yourself, he was undervalued and underpaid. But, it's a sign of the times. There's a lot of money going around and these athletes are cashing in. Unfortunately, the side effect from all of these great paydays is that now regular fans like you and I probably can't afford to see as many sports events in person as before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've heard of such things. Some of the stadiums charging upwards $100 for a pizza, $50 for a pitcher of beer. Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's like everything's gotten so ridiculous that I don't understand how there's a spot where we can keep going with it. Like at some point, either people will just stop going to sports events completely because we won't be able to afford it, or they're going to have to go backwards in some of the pricing.
It's hard to imagine that they'll go backwards in pricing because once a person or entity knows that they can get a particular price, it's not likely that they're going to go backwards. And really, basically, the raises for these athletes are being passed on to the public because, the owners are so greedy, they're going to make sure that they're not going to make not a dime or a penny less than they could in profits and just pass it on. So, it's easy to pay these athletes this money if they know at the end of the day, it's really coming out of, people like you and I, poor smucks like you and I, who are going to have to pay to see these athletes perform.
Yeah, and I've even heard recently, I was kind of following with Michael Jordan, and I obviously know Michael Jordan was always, hailed as, if not the greatest, the top probably 5 greatest basketball players of all time. I recently saw that he's become like a multiple billionaire. I know a lot of his cash came from, I mean, he had some big deals too. I remember some of his contracts were fairly large for their day, but he had so much product promotional tie-ins with his Air Jordan brand and Nike. And then I think he eventually got into his own brand completely where it was just like Air or Jordan. I don't remember what they were called, but I remember owning some of the, not the shoes necessarily, but some of the jerseys and the shorts back when I used to play a lot of basketball. But yeah, I mean, to see it, I mean, imagine these guys that were playing sports back in the 60s, that were starting out in the 70s, that these guys, I mean, Joe Namath, they made a huge deal about him getting $142,000 a year.
Yep.
To the point where now you're looking at somebody 12 million, and that's not even really the top of the industry. I mean, there's probably guys that are making 50, $60 million in some cases a year. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to even fathom.
Yeah, well, Broadway Joe at that pay rate, he's making like the bottom roster guys. They make that,
Yeah,
if not
sitting on the
even a little
bench.
bit more. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Insane, man.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things being out of whack and out of balance, that brings us to our next topic. I don't know if you got a video to cue up for me. And we're thinking about spring break. It's that time of year again where crazy college kids go out to the beach and get their tan on, and guys picking up girls and girls picking up guys and just having a blast. But there's a darker side to that. Go ahead and cue that video up, JD.
Spring break crowds in Miami Beach are starting to swell. Why Miami Beach?
It's the best place to go for spring break.
But one thing's already clear. Those flocking to South Beach for some fun in the sun are aware that the rules are going to be very different this year.
If you plan on coming to Miami Beach for spring break, don't do it. All of the streets are blocked down here. Do not come down here.
The city's high-profile campaign to break up with spring break.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us, it's you.
Jeez.
Includes videos
They
like
spent
this.
some money on those commercials.
You can expect things like curfews, bag checks, and restricted beach access.
Wow.
DUI checkpoints, $100 parking.
All of it
Wow.
coming after violence and bad behavior marred the last few years. Police trying to monitor seas of out-of-control partiers on Ocean Drive. And gunshots that have prompted stampedes and claimed lives.
Jeez.
A group of students from Virginia heard about the city's recent spring break history.
Did you see the stampedes though?
I did. It's scary. It really is.
But have felt comforted by what they've seen this spring break.
The lines to get into places at night have been a lot shorter, but there's been a lot more security.
We have a very, very good plan.
Miami Beach's police chief, Wayne Jones, telling us every member of the department is working extended hours for spring break. And they're using new drone technology from Skydio to track incidents and those in distress. He says the city's safety plan is comprehensive and the message crystal clear.
You come here, you have a good time, you behave, we will invite you back. If you come here, you break the law, we're likely going to arrest you.
All right, so clearly Miami Beach is serious about this breakup, Sam. Does that mean that some of those visitors might pour into other areas, neighboring cities, neighboring beaches?
Yeah, Craig, there's definitely concerns over a ripple effect here that you might have cities like Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood to our north that are thinking stricter measures here will push folks farther north to Broward. We do know that in Fort Lauderdale, they have an increased police presence there and a bar watch program to help bartenders spot suspicious behavior. The reality, though, is down here, a lot of the beaches in South Beach will be closed for the next 2 weekends, and it could cost $100 to stay 40 blocks away. They really are trying to do whatever they can to make it difficult, if not impossible, to stay on Miami Beach.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together. Says Miami Beach. Okay, Sam, thank you.
Man, that was one of my favorite spring break spots back in the day.
Well, that explains everything. They're like, they close the door now. Dilly, what's up? Craig ruined it for everybody. Way to go.
Wow. I mean, that sounds like some major changes.
Definitely. Haven't been in South Florida to experience spring break. It's a surreal sort of environment. You have lots of people kind of converging in on a small area for a period of time. And the individuals that are there, they're there for a good time. They're not there for like an insurance conference or something. They're in Miami Beach to get hammered, to hook up, and
Sure.
to have a great time, and then just to go back to their lives. So there's a pro and a con to that. One of the pros is the fact that it's a large influx of people, which brings lots of dollars to the area. So vendors, restaurants, shops, everyone's making money. Even the rideshare companies, everyone's making money. So it's a boom. But the negative is you have a lot of young folks that are coming. They don't necessarily have the best intentions. They're just, having fun. And that leads to over drinking, accidents, violence. There have been definitely shootings, cop involved shootings, and,
Sure.
and even deaths. So that's the negative side of things.
Well, and it makes you wonder too, right? All these people congregating together, it seems like a perfect place for if you're going somewhere to commit a crime to be able to blend in so much easier, right? Like there's already all these people around. If you're an unscrupulous person looking at ripping off a store, or even robbing a bank or something during this time, the chances for you to be able to blend in with the crowd are going to be so much easier. And I just see it too generationally. Like we didn't seem to see the types of, I mean, there's always been rioting, there's always been protests in every generation, but it seems like if you went back 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, people were a lot more peaceful at events. There wasn't this fear and this omnipresent kind of attention paid to, hey, this thing could turn into an out of control like death zone, with tanks, and you saw those SWAT cops on the trucks in there. I mean, everything can turn so fast now. It's really changed.
Yeah, the big thing is, we have social media and everyone wants attention. They want to go live, they want to broadcast something, or, they're doing something to get attention, and it's not always good attention. And, you mentioned, crime and the possibility of robbing, stores and vendors, but just think about the average individual that's attending an event like beach weekend or spring break. They may be coming from a town or a state that's more rural or more laid back, and this is their
Sure.
first experience in the big city, and they are ripe for the pickings for people who are out to take advantage of them. There's going to be sexual assaults that take place,
Dropping stuff in drinks.
Mhm.
Sure.
Violent attacks, just general robbery and schemes. There are all kinds of things that take place. And then, I don't want to cast everything and everyone in a negative light, but it's par for the course. So I understand it's kind of a tricky situation. It's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. But there are a number of people that don't want to see spring break go away. And
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
just as many folks that would be glad to be rid of it.
Yeah, there's opportunists on every corner, and of course, every situation. There's those things that can cause things to be bad, and there's obviously a response to that. It appears now by the city and by some of their policies in terms of spring break. I remember spring break as a kid. I never really took part in a spring break, but watching it on TV, I remember all the MTV shows and the beach parties, the concerts. It always just seemed like an incredible time. It seemed like everybody, like you said, was coming in from everywhere, whether it was the Okies or the Hills. They were all getting themselves over to Florida.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, vendors in particular and spring break goers just don't want the cops to be rash in how they approach the event and make any knee-jerk decisions or reactions. And I think that's an excellent segue into our next section, which is knee-jerk reactions.
I do too. This is a perfect segue in terms of entertainment because obviously within spring break, there's tons of entertainment. There's all kinds of singers, there's all kinds of live stage shows, there's actors and celebrities down there. There's never really been a celebrity recently that's been as much in the media for not necessarily good things, but more essentially being just an absolute bizarre individual. And you'll recognize this guy immediately. It's our old friend Corey Feldman.
Is that a wig on that guy's head? Or is that
Now,
his hair?
If you want to dig up a character who is playing a Halloween version of Michael Jackson from about 1993, it's Corey Feldman. He doesn't have an original approach to music. He literally has done everything he could to steal the presence, the look, the hairstylings, the outfits, the dance moves, not very well, of obviously one of the biggest superstars in the history of music, Michael Jackson. As you see on this clip, and we'll watch it, this guy's been out on tour for years, obviously in movies, but he's been doing this music thing for like 30 years now. And well, we'll see how good he's done learning in his career.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid.
Is that Paris Hilton on the keys back there?
She should be singing. He's got O'Connell from the movie. Which, I mean, O'Connell's not a singer, I don't think. Watch this next segment with Corey, because Corey really digs into this next segment. Just listen to how bad this is.
If the sky that we look upon,
no!
should tumble and fall,
or
the mountain, it should crumble to the sea.
Falsetto for him.
I won't cry. I won't cry.
Oh my God.
This is like bad karaoke.
It's just awful.
Just as long as you stand by me. Jerry O'Connell, come on. Darling, stand by me. Oh, stand.
All right, that's about the crux of that clip. I don't know if there's delusions in some of these people's minds. I don't know what happens to these celebrities over time, but something has happened in this guy's head that literally makes him believe that he's able to go out and be believable as a Michael Jackson imposter.
I guess the question I have first and foremost, what was he serious? Is this a serious performance? Is
he's serious as a heart attack now. Yeah, he's serious as a heart attack. He's out on the road with this band, playing gigs and presenting himself as if he's like literally a 30-year professional industry. And the sad part is he's been out on tours, playing gigs and shows for over 30 years. And this is how terrible he still is.
But okay, there's performing for the fun of it and not really taking it seriously, not presenting yourself as a serious singer or performer, but just being a person that's just entertaining. And then there's a person who really believes that this is good music. Does he believe that this is good music?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I mean, everything I've seen so far of all the, I mean, there was a lot of live clips of him at these big festivals and stuff. And there was actually one where he came out and he actually was in the middle of this. He's got this song called Comeback King on one of his new records, and it's absolutely terrible. If you haven't heard it, go out and listen to Comeback King. You will laugh until you cry. But he literally comes out and he stops the whole band because they didn't quite come in when he wanted them to come in. And he's so serious about this presentation, instead of just continuing the song and saying, hey, there's some spots we missed, we'll just kind of come in and make it smooth. He stops the entire band on stage, scolds them in front of this huge festival audience, and forces them to restart the song.
Wow. So he's a tyrant on top of all of the bad performances. He's a tyrant too.
He's absolutely serious. He absolutely thinks he's as good as he portrays himself to be, and he's just terrible. I mean, just terrible.
Just looking at him, and I'm not a professional or anything, but just looking at him, he appears to be trying to find himself in a way, because he looks like Michael a little bit with the jacket and the permed out hair and everything, but he doesn't have the talent. So I don't know, mate. What do you think the deal is?
He doesn't have the talent on any level. And this is the weird thing. He became really close with Michael Jackson apparently in the late 80s, and literally he would spend a lot of time with Michael Jackson, Neverland Ranch, and so then he started getting into music, kind of transitioning from acting into the music scene. He literally just ripped off everything Michael was doing at the time. He had the same kind of weird puffy jackets and things. Like this jacket he has there's nobody that can look at that jacket and not say that's reminiscent of Michael during that time. Yeah. And what's crazier is he has made it sound in interviews like him and Michael have both started dancing at the same time.
Get out.
He's actually said this shit. Like, he believes that instead of taking any of this from Michael, which clearly he has, he and Michael kind of co-developed the style that's what he believes. That's how insane this guy is.
Wow. Well, I'll say this. He's probably a really nice guy in person. I'm sure he's got to, feed himself, feed his family. So he's doing the best that he can. But clearly, he is not talented in the area of music. Now, in the totally, going in the totally opposite direction, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, we have someone else who is truly talented, and that is Mr. Jamie Foxx. So I don't know if you all recall, but maybe a year or so ago, he had a mysterious illness that sidelined him, and some, there were rumors that he might not even survive. So thankfully, he did survive. He's back. He's filming and doing his thing. However, there had always been question marks about what actually happened to him, and his team has kept their lips sealed and not really shared much of anything. So he recently came out with an announcement about sharing what happened. Cue up the video.
Life, man, I cannot tell you. I had some people in my life that really made sure I was here, because it was dire straits.
Nearly a year after his mystery health crisis,
good.
Jamie, in a rare public appearance, declaring he's a changed man.
I take things differently now because you just don't know.
Extra exclusive. Only we were there. As Jamie revealed, he's about to explain to the world just what led to his near-death experience.
Everybody wants to know what happened, and I'm going to tell you what happened, but I got to do it in my way. I'm going to do it in a funny way. We're going to be on stage. We're going to go back to the stand-up roots. If you want to have a good time and laugh and have a great time, come see me when we go take this thing out. There'll be some things in there that you'll love. There'll be some things in there that will, pull at your heartstrings.
Jamie suffered the still unexplained medical emergency last April on the set of Back in Action with Cameron Diaz.
We were spies.
For months, there have been questions and rumors about just what caused the sudden hospitalization while he was filming the movie.
Mom, she's fine. It's not that bad.
His recovery included physical rehab in a Chicago facility that specializes in stroke recovery. Jamie seemed to hint at just how serious his condition was, using his signature humor.
I was drinking some water. Wow, you taste this water? It's so wet. This is the wettest water. Was it like this before I passed away?
Jamie was center stage at the African American Film Critics Association's Special Achievement Awards, with Courtney B. Vance, Nia Long, and Journey Smollett by his side.
I'm thankful beyond belief.
And Jamie joked about the crazy internet gossip that he was replaced by AI after his health crisis.
I dove out of a car to save this black woman's purse. And I'm taking a picture that ain't no damn Jamie, that's a clone.
But there was a surprise guest on hand at yesterday's event.
And Mr. Majors, right here, please.
Embattled actor Jonathan Majors made his first red carpet appearance since he was found.
Yeah, so let's unpack this. Now, I'm a huge Jamie Foxx fan. Been a fan of his since the In Living Color days, and he's just an immensely talented person. So talented that he could look exactly like himself, and you could still think that he was Ray. So Ray Charles from the movie, like it was amazing that the way that he portrayed Ray. So I say all of that to say that I'm invested in Jamie Foxx. As a fan, I care about him. I hope that he's doing well. I don't know him personally, but when I heard that he had taken ill, I was concerned. But my concern turned into, I don't know if you would call it anger or disappointment, when we just couldn't get any updates. We didn't know what happened. It was a void of information. And while I guess it's great that he has agency over the telling of his story, I just think as a fan, we were kind of shortchanged and we were let down. And I want to know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I would agree. When this first happened, I literally thought he was a goner. Like, from how it sounded, they didn't release any details. I just thought, wow. And it was unfortunate because exactly from what you said, I too am a huge Jamie Foxx fan, going back from Living Color days, from his own television show I used to watch the WB Network, basically all the way up. I followed his career. Of course, Ray was one of my favorite movies when it came out, just because he did such a good job of portraying that character. He's one of the few guys that I really believed in comedy that actually could dramatically act. Because if you look at most of the comedy guys, I know we talked about Jim Carrey a week ago. Jim Carrey's also another guy who could do some drama, and Jamie is just one of the best at being able to act in a dramatic role. That hasn't been easy for people to flip back and forth on. And yeah, to the whole fact of, I thought he was basically dead. Nothing was released. This drug on for month after month. They gave little nuggets here and there in the news about, oh, his daughter was, talking about him recovering, but there was no details given at all. Which, I mean, obviously, yeah, the guy's a celebrity and he's well known, but like you said, when you're invested that much in somebody, there should be a little bit more transparency, details about what's actually going on with them.
Yeah, and when I look at someone like Jamie Foxx, I think of him as what you would call like a throwback, kind of like a modern day Renaissance man, because he could sing, he can act, he can play the piano, he does stand up. He does these impersonations. He was an athlete. Believe he played like maybe 3 sports when he was in high school. So he can literally do it all. And you look at people like that and you're in awe of their talent, and you just feel like you know them, especially when they seem to be as down to earth as Jamie. And I don't know, maybe it's me, it could be me, but I feel a little funny about this. I don't know how to receive the idea that he's going to reveal what happened to him in a comedy show. And it's like, again, it's great that he has agency, but it feels almost like we're being fleeced because we care. Because he's going to do the show regardless, but we want to know what happened. So, like, in order to find out what happened, now we're gonna have to pay for a ticket or watch some sort of, Netflix special or something. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, it's very, very, very similar to the Chris Rock incident too, where it's like, and also now this thing with his health, we know that he's okay now. He seems to be looking back to normal, and he seems to look fine. But it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna get back to a cash grab for an event that happened. This was when exactly? Was it a year ago or 2 years ago when this actually was?
Yeah, it was like last April, so we're coming up on a year,
So, yeah,
basically.
where are you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems like, okay, let's kind of get one more kick to the old dead horse here. Put one in the old behind the ears on this one, because we've already fleeced it as long as we could. Now it's a year later, and we're gonna, similar to the Chris Rock incident, where it's like, now he's gonna come out and do these comedy specials and talk about the whole incident. And yeah, I don't know, it seems very much coordinated. It seems like it's an attempt to just cash in.
And again, yeah, like you said, an attempt to cash in. So is this what we should start to expect, that basically people are going to monetize fans' sympathy and caring and being invested in them? Is that the next thing? Like, we're going to have to pay just to know how our favorite celebrities are doing? I don't know how to feel about that.
I agree. Has it gotten so completely overrun with the entertainment and social media world that these guys constantly have to have some sort of controversy to keep themselves on top of the pile? That also seems to be the case too.
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure: whether you're loaded with money or you're just an average guy like us living in a basement, we have stress and we have worries, and
we do.
That goes into our next segment, brother.
Agreed. Stress, worry, strife, fear, all seems to play hand in hand with each other, and it seems to do one hell of an effect on your health, on your overall physical being, on your overall ability to even just get through a day. And I've often wondered if they're using these, and when I say they, I mean in terms of the media, in terms of the government, in terms of businesses, are able to use the concepts of knowing that we as a society, or as a humanoid, I guess, are very
some of us,
all of us, very affected by fear and stress. And it seems to me like it's being used and weaponized in a way that's kind of driving us towards certain things.
Yeah, I didn't want to believe it, because for a large portion of my life, I really looked down on people that subscribe to like conspiracy theories. Like, New World Order, Illuminati, and all these different forces that are controlling our lives or impacting.
They're making the frickin' frogs gay, right?
Yeah, making them gay, And I didn't want to subscribe to that, but as I've gotten older and I've had a chance to live a little bit, there's some truth to it. Just like sex sells, stress and worry motivates people. Those can become prime motivators to get people to take actions that they otherwise wouldn't. So
Yeah.
I believe that there is truth to it, because when you look at the news now, I think it was CNN, they had a banner that would come up like every segment. It would be like breaking news. And it's like, okay, breaking news was always like something happened. But
yeah, major things happen, right?
yeah, but like then it was like breaking news is just what they would show leading into their shows. Like, okay, come on, get out of here. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Here's a guy putting croutons on a salad.
Yeah, so to just get you amped up for nothing,
I agree. Yeah, you're completely right, because I remember back in the day when you saw some sort of break on something, it was like a president has been shot or a nuke has went off in Central Park. Now it's like breaking news, and it's like they're going to paint the highway stripes a different color this year.
Yep.
So yeah, it's because it works. It's so, and I think tied in with the whole social media and propaganda machine that is the internet in general anymore, we're so hit constantly by advertising that's driving us in all of these emotional directions, and fear and stress and worry seems to be one of the biggest because it's so easy to do. I mean, we're scared of everything, basically.
What's worse than getting you going with something is the fact that nothing ever seems to be resolved. There's always some new crisis. Of course we had COVID, which was a real crisis. I lost friends and family members to it, but there were other crises that came after that. I think at one point Ebola popped back up. I think measles are out there now, and it's like you get all these different things that happen that get you so wound up, and then you never really get a clear sort of closure on things, like what happened to the guy with the Ebola. Where's the Ebola monkey? Like, give me some sort of follow-up and let me know that I can go outside and be around people again. And it just never happens. Yeah, it's like a constant state of being, like you say, stressed out and worried, and there's no relief. You just stumble from one crisis into another one.
I completely agree. And it's like, the biggest concept of that is always worry about what's coming next. And part of it too, what I've seen recently, the biggest kind of worries that have really been foisted upon people is the whole cost thing, right? Everybody's so constantly worried about if you're going to have enough money to be able to eat next week. And this ties in perfectly with what we've been seeing in terms of entertainment costs and just costs in doing things with your family.
Yeah, I'm going to stand on top of my soapbox for a moment and just talk about the cost of being happy, and what's one of the happiest places on earth, so they say, that's Disney World. Go ahead and run that footage.
To play America's favorite game show, guess that obscene price. We all know that Disney is expensive. That's like 50% of the brand. But what we don't know is how expensive it actually has gotten. Shit's gotten crazy. So let's go down the list and find out exactly how much you're getting screwed. A regular old bottle of Coke. How much would you spend on that? Probably $1 in any vending machine. Joke's on you. That's $5. You're paying $5 for Coke. Something that is cheaper than water. But don't worry, if you're looking for a souvenir, you can get one of these dog shit refillable cups that cost $22. So, they drive a hard bargain. How about a beautiful plastic tiara for your beautiful little princess? How much is that going to run you? 20, 30, 40, 50, $60, $89. $89 for a plastic tiara. And you're going to have to buy it because she's going to cry. And you don't want to look like a bad parent. I also found this sweater. Take your guesses. $270. What the fuck's going on?
God, $270.
The fuck? It's time to...
$270 for something made in a country you can't pronounce that's been shipped over on a big boat.
And the tiara is, basically $90 or whatever, and it's going to break in the car on the way home. Like, it's not going to last.
Plastic alloy.
Yeah, this gentleman took a tongue-in-cheek, funny sort of approach to it, but like many families aren't laughing because the reality is we can't afford to enjoy life. You spend so much time at work. The average person is going to spend at least, 5 days out of the week, 40 hours or more working to try to scrape together some money and take their kids somewhere for the summer. And the reality is, it's becoming more and more difficult to do that. The average ball game is $1 zillion, like we were saying previously about
Yeah.
these salaries. But like, I remember going to Disney as a kid, and of course, I didn't know how much it cost, but my family didn't have a lot of money, so it had to be affordable. And now I'm looking at this now. Maybe I couldn't even afford to take my kids to Disney right now. Thank God they're grown and wasting their money on their own. But if I had to take my family to Disney right now, it would be a tough proposition. How about you?
Yeah, it's like you better dig out your change drawer because you're paying for your trip, son.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things too, where I've never lived in any close vicinity to any kind of park like this or any kind of amusement attraction. And so you've got the travel cost too. So now if you're looking at a travel cost of a couple $1,000s to get a few people somewhere, and then you're going to stay at one of these resorts that's going to cost you another $2,000 or $3,000 on top of it. For some of them have all inclusive passes, but a lot of it they don't. Where you paying that, and then you still got to buy all your meals and all of your food and all of your everything, your consumables. It's just insanity. It's like, I don't know how anybody can even afford to do it. Even unless you're extremely wealthy, there's just no chance anymore.
Yeah, and I actually ran the numbers because I didn't want to just look at the video and take him at his word. I ran some of the numbers, and let's say a 3-day pass for a family of 4, that will run you roughly, almost $1,900, nearly $2,000. But let's say it's
Jesus.
$1,882.39, right? And the reality is, once you get to a place like Disney, you're going to have long lines. The wait is just ridiculous, especially in peak season. So there's no way you're going to be able to see everything you want to see in a span of a day, especially if you're traveling from the other side of the country. So it's almost a given that you're going to spend 2 to 3 days there. You're going to probably have a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. So this is for a 3-day pass. Now, that doesn't include the travel expense if you're flying or driving. It doesn't include the food, which has already been covered. It's astronomical. And of course, you're going to want some souvenirs so you can prove to people that, you were rich enough to afford a trip to Disney. So you got to come back with some cheesy swag, And when you put all that together, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, man, 99 cent for a trinket that, $99 for a 99-cent trinket. It just goes to show you why you got to come back and put another 80 hours of overtime in just to be able to do anything.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty soon the average person is only going to be able to afford to do what we're doing, which is sitting in our basements and just having a good time. So.
I agree, man, and it's good, and at least this is free for us, and hopefully at some point the people out there will be kind enough to elevate us to those statuses of elite wealth that we aspire to be.
Yeah, listen, with your support, we could maybe afford to make it to Orlando or Anaheim, wherever the parks are, and maybe we can make it there, and then maybe we could panhandle and get some money to actually get in the park. I don't know.
We will
crazy.
Podcast for food.
Yes, we will. We will.
Well, I think with that, Mr. Mo Money, we are out. We will see everybody again on the next Basement Brothers podcast coming soon. Please like and subscribe. Mo Money, what do you got?
Hey, listen, thanks you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Agreed. Take care.